So start by finding a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Notice the experience. Whatever you feel in your body, physical sensations, emotions. Just notice. No need to enhance or suppress. Just allow the moment to unfold. Notice that there is thinking. And notice the transient quality of thoughts. How they arise out of nothingness, linger for a while, and fall back into nothing. And even if your experience right now would in any way be uncomfortable, or there is pain in the body, just notice. If resistance arises, you just notice the resistance. And you notice any subtle attitude when you sit. Maybe there is a subtle longing for something to happen. Or any other belief. You notice that too. And if you get drawn into thought, just come back and notice thinking. Just stay. No need to go with any thought. And even if this silent space can feel disorienting, stay. completely alert. And if the silence feels disorienting, just rest in that. And the mind might say things like, there's nothing to do, or trying to reach for thoughts, but you just stay. Gently open your eyes, move your body a little bit, move your feet. You sent me some questions before you came here. Do you still feel like asking them?
I would love for you to just elaborate on forgiveness.
Yes. You wrote one thing that stood out to me. You asked if God needs to forgive God. This is a good question. If everything is stillness, why is there need for forgiveness? There is need for forgiveness in the unresolved, in the tension of the ego. That's where forgiveness is needed. If there is no tension, there is nothing to forgive. There is no karma, there is nothing to forgive. Then it's done. But when it's not done, then forgiveness is needed. That's why it's a tool. That's why all the religions talk about it so much. Because the opposite to forgiveness is to say that you cannot forgive. This action was so horrible, or my own behavior was so horrible, I can never forgive myself. People say things like that. That means that you're carrying something. And until the day that you say, it's all right that that also happened. Even though it might be a very dark thing, might be a terrible thing.
Might be a beautiful thing.
Yes, and in the forgiveness, it can really become a beautiful thing. Because all these things that we carry, it seems sometimes like people think that if they carry hate towards someone, that person is suffering the hate. But you are suffering the hate. And the more you look, the more you understand that everything comes from you. You are the source of everything. So how you relate to that changes also everything. Before you see that, you will say that the world is in some ways external. You might say, I've looked a little bit and I think that some things come from me and some things come from outside. But the truth is, nothing comes from outside. Everything is you. What you think that what you are is the whole expression of your life. And this is such a beautiful thing that it's put together like this. Because otherwise it would need the perfect circumstances or someone else in some way taking mercy on you, providing you with these external things that are needed. But it's not like that. And the beauty in that is that it makes us free. And we can explore what being bound is. But it's a good thing to know. Even if it seems intellectual. It's just good to know the scope of the human experience. And even though I talked about this many times, but even though I heard about people like the Buddha, Siddhartha, Gautama, or other enlightened beings, it didn't really click until I met someone who just radiated so much freedom and who embodied those things. It's like that opens a door of possibilities that before that had been closed. And it seems like this particular door cannot be opened until there's also some maturity in you. Something has had to happen. And it seems like crisis and hardship seem to just propel that. Seem to mature people very, very quickly on the spiritual path. I heard the other day someone who wished their students to have a lot of hardship. I don't remember who it was. I just saw it. It came to me now. That just wished, I wish that you have a lot of hardship and a lot of friction in your life so that your spiritual maturity will very quickly come to fruition.
Thank you.
And the beauty with meditation, if you're really honest in your practice, if you're very diligent and very honest in your practice, that will come so quickly. Then friction will come like really grind you. And you hate it when it happens. It usually feels like external things that are happening, that are really disturbing your practice, and that, like the sadhana I kept now for 6 months, it's not possible in this crisis or in this. But it's always like that. Oh, often. And all these tools that we can use that are part of the mind, like forgiveness and gratitude, the reason they seem to be so relevant in spirituality is that those qualities are there in the spiritual. They're very close, because gratitude does not separate. And forgiveness also makes things whole again. Goes from that you feel like a victim of something and that there is something to forgive. And when you have forgiven it, there is nothing. There's oneness again. So it's not that these tools are playing so much. They address the ego, but they always have the goal of oneness. And the same as doing the inquiry. It's also to show the clarity of how do I see myself as separate. Every time the mind says, oh, meditation is going great today, to whom is it going great? Who is the one who likes to stick the label of great to their meditation? Who gets stuck in arrogance? And it always brings you back to the stillness. I know that it's easy to think that if you watch the news or social media, it's easy to think that if I just identify with the right things and I'm on the right side of things, I'm on the good side. But this is a very fragmented view. Everyone on all sides always think that they're on the good side. But in reality, there are no sides. And there is nothing to gain by identifying with one side or the other. The only thing it does is calming your fears of separation. But as soon as you start to look at that, then it starts to become uninteresting. And you will see love in everything, even the ones that say that they hate you. Because if you look, you see things. If you see hate in yourself, and you see what that is an expression of, that is just love not being expressed. And if you stay with it for long, you will need forgiveness. And then you will be back in love. And the mind wants to play this game of choice. Are you against this or are you pro this? What side are you on? The mind loves that. Easy categories. Very, very easy to identify with. To stand in the space in between, the mind hates that. The egoic mind hates that. You notice the space when we do the guided meditation. Sometimes I'm sure you see the silence. There's just nothing. It feels a bit disorienting, and there is nothing. And the mind starts to pull. Come here, come here. Or a great idea, whatever it is. It always wants to lock into something. But you don't have to lock into anything. Let the mind twitch. Let it try. Let it try to scare you or seduce you. Whatever it got. You just stay.
So when the love is, the beauty is almost so grand, it's how to grasp it. And who is to grasp that? Am I to withdraw from that and stay neutral? Also when the love is so huge, so overwhelming.
Yes. The love itself can feel like it's crushing.
Yeah.
Like there is no space for me. These kind of feelings. And that just means that the egoic mind gets less space and the stillness gets to be. But I'm not sure that that is what you're asking.
No, last couple of weeks I've just been smiling so much, and I can see the reaction in other people, like, why are you smiling? Like, okay, am I not allowed to dwell in this? Am I to... Then suddenly it starts to shift the other way, and I don't want that, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
And this is a part part of it. It is there is a sense of breaking free.
Mm.
There is a sense of leaving other people behind. Because they might not understand you. But can you be fine with that? Can you accept this? And they might say, you have become strange.
I was already.
Yeah, but maybe stranger.
Yeah, but these are people on the street. I don't see that many people, you know. So
No.
I keep myself very much
Yes.
to myself, and I just see these reactions, not by close ones, so I don't hear any
No.
concrete reactions like
Mm.
that. Only the looks and how are you laughing, like smiling like this on a rainy Wednesday.
Mm.
Mm. And then I notice some judgment coming.
Mm.
Can you really allow this?
Yes.
How am I much of this can go out.
Yes.
Yeah. Am I to hide from this? No, it doesn't feel right.
No.
No. Mm. How happy can you be?
And it will always provoke people.
Yeah.
If there is silence within you and your heart is full of love, then some people won't stand that because it's so provocative to them. So that will happen. I notice that some people actively avoid me because to them it feels like they have to confront something that they're not comfortable with. So if you start to understand that, then it's not so strange.
No, but I don't want to turn it
Yeah.
against myself.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with you.
No. No.
And the more comfortable you get with this love and this silence, you will come to a point where you will feel that if everyone else were to say, this is wrong, you will say, no, it is right. If everyone you would meet would all the time say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, you should not behave like this, you would feel still in your heart, no, it is right. When we confuse our internal love for the external, then we start to look for people to validate us from the outside. This is almost everyone. But that comes with a hefty price. It's also that those people outside of you, they control your happiness in that. Then you are putting your identity there. If I get this, I'm all right. If I don't, I'm shit. And that's why noticing this love is such a relief. Because if the source is not outside, and instead is inside, then there's no need for anyone to validate you. No one to tell you that your existence is good enough or not good enough. And this longing in the deepest sense to the love that comes from within, that is everywhere, whatever you want to call it. That is bhakti. And it becomes so important because the other path is always the path of the ego. Because the other path says, I did this.
It says,
I did this.
I did this. Okay, thank you.
That you are the one meditating. You are the one realizing. You are the one who achieved all the insights. But it's not true. It all happens through grace. And I think that many people don't realize that all these, the way that most people talk is very, very arrogant. Because they credit everything to them. This is the normal way of talking. So that's why in meditation, when you sit with what is true, you have to face a lot of that arrogance. The inner achiever, the doer. And on the spiritual path, most people have this sense that it's going to lead somewhere where it will be some kind of achievement. It's not like that. It's only this. And you can say, but I don't find this now very enticing, very beautiful, wonderful. I suffer in it. It's a rainy Wednesday in October in it. But that can only be true in comparison. With the idea in your mind that it should be a Saturday in July always. And some people argue that beauty lies in comparison. But beauty lies in the now. You get fooled by comparison. You think that when your suffering ends, that is happiness in that moment. When you achieve the thing that you're looking forward to. But that happiness is always there. It doesn't require achievement. It just requires that you don't play with identity. And that you stop putting that identity in time. Just examine what is here. This is everything. And I don't mean as an idea. This is everything. Whatever the mind says in time, this is everything. What else can there be? Is there a parallel universe right now that you can switch to, where it's a Saturday in July? No. No. And when you start to understand that what time creates, if you identify with time what it does, as soon as you say, I am waiting, you play with identity and time. It seems so innocent. You're waiting in line at your supermarket, at your local supermarket, and you stand in line and you're waiting for your turn. But the attitude is, I should not be in this line. I should be at the register paying my groceries. It's a very simple thing, very innocent, I think, that people, but it is a play, an identity in time. Why cannot you just allow the now to be when you're standing in line? It can just be. And also, you don't have a choice, because that is all there is. So all this play with the mind does is that it brings you out of what is into the idea that there is something else. And we do it time and time again. The same with worry. All these things in time. This presentation I'm going to hold at Monday at work. The whole weekend you worry before you go to sleep. You worry about this presentation. I never held a presentation before. Maybe it's going to be crap. Everyone's going to think I'm stupid. You lie there in bed not being able to sleep. And when Monday comes and you slept bad all weekend, your boss says, yes, and we don't need your presentation because we solved it in another way. I just want to tell you that Monday morning. You never know. It's always so changeful. All the time. So you can stay with it as it is. And I think there is a great fear of not knowing. Not knowing is a great thing. Because the one who really wants to know is the one that worries a lot. The one that says, I don't know. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what this is. Then you don't have the fight with all the things. Then you don't create a parallel universe where everything is different. Just allow it to be in the not knowing. And it can happen in a moment that you understand. If you hear these things and you just stay with it, it's inevitable. Even though it might feel like an idea today in your mind, if you stay with it and you notice, it will become clear. The universe wants nothing but to show you. And the only thing that stands in the way is the idea of you. Otherwise, there's a lot of space. And you don't have to try to be perfect, or even worse, act perfect. Let all those things that feel strange and broken and odd, they're also allowed to be there. Most people are quite weird. Some just carry it more on the outside. That's usually the difference. I don't think that the world needs more people experimenting with different kinds of identity. I don't see that as a solution to any conflict. That just seems to polarize people. When I look at things, I see time and time again, same patterns, new subjects, new movements, new issues. I think the most radical thing that any human being can do is to know themselves. To understand what fragmentation is. What is it that makes me feel separate from the world? And what practices makes me feel united with it? And if you start to notice that everything springs from that, all conflicts spring from separation in you and into what we call the external. And the same thing about the opposite. If there is no separation, then that is the quality that you send out. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to start a movement. You don't have to make any Facebook groups. You can just be as you are. And I cannot really help you. And this is a very good thing. Because if I could, I would have to identify as the one helping, and you have to identify with the one being helped. But grace does everything. So we're just here to see what happens. We can, of course, help each other in the moment if it's obvious and there is openness to help. It's not that. It's just that so much help just creates that relationship of dependence. But it always comes down to the same thing. Who are you? You heard me talk probably many times about how to stay in satsang. That the meditation doesn't end after the first 15 to 20 minutes of guided meditation. That everything is this. That you are watchful. You notice thinking, the emotions, whatever place in you. But you can always expand that field of satsang into everything. You can be in that field at work. Oh, but that seems difficult. You might say. Then you try a little, certain tasks. Maybe try to remember it every time you go to the bathroom. It's a simple, very basic task. Or in the break when you make tea or coffee. Just to remember that you are awareness. You're not this or that. How can you be? How can you be a phenomenon when you can watch every phenomenon? That is impossible. You have to be prior to being a phenomenon. Prior to being a thing. Or not? this experience has so many expressions. All the expressions of the body, thinking, the emotional content. But in a way, you could say that it's all external. It's just a cultural thing that we say, look inside. Because where is where's the start and end of things? Of an idea in time or an attitude. They affect everything. If you believe in them, they affect everything. So they're super external. Even though we might say, look inside. But the beauty of that is that also the external world can be your guide in this, can be your guru. And it will seem like certain situations happen by chance but usually they come exactly when there is a possibility for it to happen. And if you say, why does this always happen to me? The answer is very simple. That is what you project. That is a fear that you have. So you will attract it until you're free of that. So the universe is super helpful in this. All the shit that it throws on you is super helpful. Always wants you to know. It says, look, look. And you can again say, oh yes, now I have solved that again. And it just... And you can feel so lost in it. What is next? But if you just stay in silence with it a while and say, show me, it will be shown. Because that is honesty. And the universe loves that. It loves when you're real. And if you're just trying to escape it, it will help you. And the universe, it is limitless in its ways because it has so many people to use, and the person in front of you in line at your supermarket, or whoever it is. Someone talking about something that you don't like on the bus, or whatever situation. You can just throw it in there a little bit. There's a lot of talk about the world being a simulation, but I think that the world is just a projection. You will see whatever you think that you are. And if the fears don't come up, you will start to see, you see that the fears are in others. It becomes so clear. Otherwise, if the fear is still in you, you will just reflect it when you see that fear, and you will continue it. But if it doesn't appear in you, it's very obvious that it comes in someone else. You will see things like, you understand the fear that creates the idea of making this kind of news, for example, or whatever it is. The intention behind it. And it's not menace. It's not that people are evil in any way. It's just that they don't know themselves. And it's so easy to normalize fears. And when a lot of people are afraid, then it's very easy to use that as a tool. So that's why I say the most radical thing that you can do is to know yourself. To change your relationship to fear by knowing yourself. Doesn't mean that you will make perfect decisions, but you will not be governed by fear. You cannot be pushed around by fear if someone wants to push around you like that. And also without the separation, you will feel like the moment is as it is. It's perfect with all its flaws. All its strangeness, weird oddities. And you don't have to fix yourself. You just have to know yourself. And I know it feels very compelling to fix yourself. But it always says, I'm not enough yet. when this falls into place and when I'm rid of this fear, this trauma, then I will really dig into spirituality. Then I would really commit. Before that, that's why it's also beautiful when people have no time. Because if you have no time left, you can't give a crap about all those things. Otherwise, you might think that you have a lot of time left. But there is also no guarantee of that. So why not now? And it's not a difficult practice. Not in the sense that you have to go somewhere. Or be a monk or a nun. You just have to be a sadhak. Someone who has the practice as the highest priority. That's it. You can have a normal life, you can have a family, whatever. But in whatever situations you come, you check in. You notice the body, the emotions. You start to do it in more and more uncomfortable situations. When you're sick, when someone is angry at you, when you're very happy. And be careful with it. Because there will be a lot of freedom in it, but there's always the possibility for the mind to take credit. So that's why it's so important to bow. To say thank you. And all the beautiful teachers.
Could you talk a little about prayer in that context? Bowing, praying beforehand.
Yes. I think that many people confuse praying with just asking the universe for stuff. Yes, and with that I mean everything, like my grandmother will be well and whatever it is. But praying could be a moment to bow. To bow to the greatness of everything. To the built-in intelligence of the universe. That never gives up on us. Then we don't want to learn the lesson for the 31st time. It still continues. It commits to the same fear again to show you. Tirelessly. Like the greatest, most patient parent. And in its deepest form, prayer is meditation. It is to understand what the true meaning of God is. That is another word for this moment. It's another word for what you are. For the stillness. And there are things in the Bible, if you look at that through that way, it makes so much more sense. I was almost offended by the religions by all religions when I was younger. I thought that they just were a way to control people. And I still hold that view, actually, in many ways. But I also understand that in all of them, there's always a true idea of spirituality that is built on. Someone had a deep understanding of spirituality and then it became something else. And I think that it's brutal that it's taken so, that the view of the religions are looked upon as so literal when they try to explain what you cannot touch, what you cannot see. And when that change, then they can be an inspiration. And the true meaning of the religions can shine again. And you understand that some of them understood that the impact I have during my lifetime could be something that people would build a religion on. I think Buddha knew this, for example, and avoided words like God. because of that, because he knew that it could be interpreted like an entity, a judging entity in that sense. But the problem is never religion. The problem is still the same thing, so there's always the problem. The egoic mind and identification with thoughts. If you know the love in your heart, it doesn't matter if the religion you grew up with have brutal things written in a book. That will have no effect. And I was happy to know about like Christian mystics, John of the Cross, Teresa Babila, Saint Francis of Assisi, all these great mystics that also in their time were banned and tortured because they criticized the church. Because they were curious and wanted to know what this is. And when I came across the Sufis of Islam, Rumi, and the contemporaries like Leilin Bohanli, we just wrote about the truth, we talked about it. And there's just one small jump of the heart to be alright with knowing and investigating instead of just believing. That's it. And I understand that it's more safe to just believe. But when people identify with that, they seem to create wars. Where everyone thinks that they're on the good side. And it's always viewed like the mystics when they're depicted in, they're always the ones that don't really care. And the irony of it is that they might be the only ones in all of it that really do care. You see the brutality of our civilization. And you might see the brutality inside yourself if you're honest. And when you're pushed, what you come to, what fears you might give into, all that. There is a beauty, the openness to investigate it, to look, to be honest, even though it's not very comfortable. To follow that urge that I think is in every human being, the longing to know yourself. The drive towards truth, the intuitive guidance, whatever you want to call it. What many people call, I'm just longing to be happy. Who is that? Who is the one who is finding happiness?
What comes up is very much the word darshan. I don't know, because, if there's no other, could you talk about the quality of darshan?
And darshan in?
Like, yeah. Like when tuning into a saint or a sage or a teacher or the transformation, but it's not a transformation because it's in you and
Yes, it's just a reflection.
yeah.
And also, it is already a quality that is in you. And there is, of course, something happening. If you're with someone that is very quiet, you will reflect that silence. That is just how it happens. That's why I say there is nothing that you have to do. You don't have to start a Facebook group. Because that is automatically transmitted. If you are quiet, then that is automatically transmitted. And that is also automatic with your whatever teacher you have. And also, even if the teacher is not in the body, and you just feel, you might feel a very strong connection to Ananda Mayama or something, and you just look at the images and it just fills your heart with love and these things. Never underestimate those things. They're very, very powerful and very beautiful.
Because I had a whole retreat where I was called to dive into her eyes, and I was to paint them, and I painted them, and it was so powerful. And then reflection.
Mm.
But it's, yeah.
There is, and everyone transmits a lot of things all the time, but just that the very few people are quiet enough to notice what people transmit, because they might say something different with the words than what they. You can see pain in their eyes, but they say, "No, I'm great, I'm great."
Yeah, and the opposite.
And the opposite.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm really suffering, but you can see that something has just left them and they feel free. But that is not the correct thing to say in the moment. We have all these I call it like the grown-up stories, like the stories that grown-ups have, that they try to, because if it's not really correct to feel the way that you feel, you might create a story that says something else, or you might put on a mask that. And those things are usually quite difficult to get rid of, because they save face. They save you in so many situations. So it's very easy to uphold them. But if you don't care, then they go. There always has to be some kind of relationship to fear for something to stay. It's also a very good thing to know. You have to be dependent on it somehow. Otherwise it won't stay. You can say that a trait in you is very disturbing, and why cannot you just let this go? Many people talk like that. Really, but there is something in that that has some value. Otherwise, it would be gone. And it always has a value to the egoic me. That there is some relationship there. So we can talk about things sometimes like external or having been related to certain situations, but they always come from us. And it's usually not so difficult to reach them, but we're reluctant to do it because we don't like the thing. And that makes us suppress them. And we can do that also very automatically. Like every time it comes up, we just... And it's always not the right time to feel that, or... And that's why awareness becomes so powerful, because awareness is like a light. It's like shining a light on things all the time. And the ego hates that, because it likes to operate in the dark. It doesn't want you to turn on the lights all the time. And the light is very simple. It's just look. And as soon as you're dragged into the story, look at the story. The egoic mind is always interested in what's going on. The play of the world. It's like a child playing with whatever comes. But as soon as you step into awareness, you become the parent. And the parent has no interest in the game that the child plays. It only looks at the child. And the game can be so magnetic, can be so, look so wonderful, so interesting. But you just look at the one trying to play with the world. Any other questions? No?
No, I don't have it figured out yet.
Okay. Okay.
Well, it's the same for me.
It's like this match.
Yes. So let's sing. He he Govinda, he he Gopala, he he Govinda, he he Gopala, he Vasudeva, he Nityananda, he Vasudeva, he Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Jaya Mata Kali, Jaya Mata Durga, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah, Kali Durga, Namo Namah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just want to say to everyone on stream that you're so welcome. It's once a month. I do this satsang in English, and you're so welcome to send in your questions if you have any. If something comes up, until next time.